Yes, you need to manage and navigate the political landscape in this kind of situation. Don't come and tell me, oh, I'm a technical. I'm a developer managing an IT project, or like myself, I'm an engineer managing a construction project. At this time, you need to understand that your trouble project, it's much bigger than piling up bricks or using Python or any development software to build your app. There is the whole environment surrounding your project and a lot of people that want to contribute or maybe not contribute. And you need to navigate this. And how you do that? And this is basically stakeholder management. But it's not stakeholder management for you to define which kind of report should you present. The report, every time, when we see an iceberg, okay, let me draw here an iceberg, okay? And this is the water level. This is the water level. Let me put it in blue here. This is the water. What happens? On this top part here, is, I would say, the official communication and everything. On this part here is where you prepare the report for the stakeholders. This is where the meetings happen. And this is where your table, your communication, formal communication plan happens. Perfect. But come on. There is a huge set of issues and things that are just underwater. And this is where you need to learn how to navigate this politics. You need to make connections. You need to get clarity of what is behind. Sometimes you are in a meeting and a stakeholder comes to you and say, I don't like this report, and say, but the numbers are right, but it doesn't seem good. You need to go a little bit deeper and say, why is she or he saying that? What is behind this? What is behind that email? What is behind that, for example, that I was not invited to that specific meeting? That was to discuss, for example, the budget of something very related to my project. You need to understand this because most of the time the problems, the real problems, are here, not here. And you need to learn how to navigate this. And look, there is no framework. There is no step-by-step. Do this and do that. Oh, if anyone discover, I would say, a perfect framework to navigate politics in organization, please share with me. I would be the first one to get to know because every organization is unique. You need just to have the feeling and the practice to understand and navigate because not every iceberg is the same. And what I want here is that you need to have this ability to navigate. And the best way to navigate is by trying to find non-traditional ways of getting information. But let me give a step back. When I say this, it's say, oh, what are you talking about? Are you talking about, bribery and this? No, I'm not talking about anything like that. What I'm trying is that you need to be creative. Many times during my professional life, I heard many relevant things about the project I was managing in the corridor, at the elevator, at the cafeteria, just having a coffee, and someone said, did you see what happened with someone? And please, I'm not saying you should engage in gossip, but you need to be aware and say, look, what is going on under the water here? What is going on? How is the political map? Because sometimes your project gets into trouble not because of you or because it's because, for example, senior leadership is fighting and you are not even aware. And you became the tool of the fight and you are not even aware of that. You need to understand how politics take place. And this is a hard work because most of the time we don't think that this is our responsibility. We build the plan, we build a team, we are trying to motivate, and then suddenly you will come to me and say, well, now Ricardo is saying that I need to be a political actor. Yes. Happily or sadly, the answer is yes. Every single project that is in trouble requires you to navigate the political environment. You need to understand what is going on. What is going on with my supplier? You need to be extremely well connected. You need to understand that there are many informal channels that you can get information. For example, at my time at the UN, oh God, I had so many information. For example, I was based in Denmark, but no project was done in Denmark. Most of the projects, they were done in conflict zones, in very poor countries. So what I did, just in 1 year, I went to 14 different countries. And I went there, I put the helmet, this construction helmet, and I went to and say, what's going on, how things are. And suddenly, people come to me and say, oh, Ricardo, this is not working very well. And then I start realizing that there is a political factor affecting the performance of this project. There is a turbulence between, for example, the team and the sponsor, or the team and the client. If I didn't know that, I would not have the political acumen to call for a meeting and say, look, let's try to clear this out. Let's try to organize this in a different way. And this is political awareness. And this is one of the things. If people are talking about machines taking care of the project management work, I need to tell you, this political acumen will take a while for machines to be able to do. And this is why it's so important for you to be, I would say, more politically savvy and aware. But just one final comment on this lesson. Remember that there is always the limits of the ethics, the limits of what is right and what is wrong. At any moment here, I'm just saying that you should be someone that practice bad mouth of anyone. This is not the intent here, okay? This is not the intent here. We are talking about you getting information. For example, when I have the chance all the time, I try to socialize with people in my project. And socialize, it's not become friends, but socialize. Maybe have a coffee and say, are you free for lunch today? And not talking, but asking questions. How is the project? Are you facing some challenge? And just let them speak. And then, of course, you are smart enough to take and understand that. You need to listen, and this active listening will bring you a lot of insights. You need just to understand how the game is being played, because sometimes your project is going down, but there is a way politically that you can recover that. And this is not bad. And remember, this becomes extremely important when you are in trouble, because when you are in trouble, you are in a fragile situation. You are not strong, because if your project, you are not in the situation where you want to be, right? Because your project is close to fail and nobody wants to be failing. Think always about that. Politics is something that, regardless if you like or not, you need to play.